Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next Tavern Talks podcast. I actually forgot the name for a second there, even though it is literally on my screen right now on OBS. I am joined, as ever, by my co-host, Martin.
Hello.
And back from the dead, rising like a phoenix, Sam.
I'm not dead this week.
Hey!
Yay!
It's good to have you back. We missed
Thank you. I missed you guys too.
We held a service in your name, but you know,
Yes.
nobody came. Turns out you weren't actually dead. You were misinformed.
I'm sorry.
Right, there isn't any big news of the last few weeks, so or at least nothing I guess we consider big news. Nobody put anything in there, so you know, let's just go with it. So let's immediately move on to what have you been playing / watching, and we'll start from the top here. I said last week that we were not going to be talking about World of Warcraft much unless we had some like fairly big updates, I guess. I said something along those lines. And I guess the big update is that I'm kind of sick of playing it. Like, this happens every few months. I will play it for like a month straight, absolutely love my time with it, and then I will be completely burned out because I've spent all of my time with it. And yeah, we've kind of hit that bump, so we have halted World of Warcraft for now. I just wanted to mention that, and if you guys have anything else to add to the World of Warcraft shenanigans.
Can't remember if we talked about it last time when we played it, but we actually did a dungeon properly. We did a dungeon properly this time,
We did.
Yes.
which was good. So we actually experienced it properly with actual appropriate levels with full five people, wasn't it? We had 2 people with us.
Yes, I don't think we did talk about it properly last time because
Yeah.
last time I had just boosted you on my main character.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that like Sam was leveling a dwarf and I was leveling a tank. So yeah, we ended up getting to the appropriate levels. I think Sam was 18, I was like 23, Martin was 23, and yeah, we did a successful dungeon and it was smooth. It was
Yeah.
very fucking smooth. I tanked it.
Absolutely smashed it. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin healed it. Sam DPS'd it, and yeah, it was good.
Because we had another player who was confused if they were healer or not, because like they were healing as well, and then they messaged in like, "Am I healing?" Because I was healing as well, and I think we were all a bit confused.
Even though
And they confirmed.
I advertised looking for 2 more DPS, so
Yeah,
you should have known, but you know.
yeah, but they came in and when like they were nice enough. They like when I was running out of mana, I would type in like, "Oh, I'm out of mana because I need to be healing," and he'd be like, "I'll take over," and took over and helped out and things. So it was useful.
Yeah.
To have like a secondary healer there that could also act as DPS in some way.
Yeah.
Because we handled all enemies well enough, so it wasn't that bad. I didn't feel like we were grossly over leveled. Everything was tough, and it was due to the parties and the reason we made it through. Like no one was soloing a section.
No.
You know, it got to the point where it's like, yeah, if you were there, like constant healing as a tank, constantly heal the tank, like no let up whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it was really good to be involved in like an actual dungeon.
Yeah.
For World of Warcraft.
Because it is a lot different than just getting fucking boosted. Somebody like one-shotting every single mob, and then you just getting free loot essentially.
Exactly, yeah, and that, like, don't get me wrong, I love free loot, but it was it was good. What were your thoughts on it then, Sam? On the dungeon?
I thought doing it the second time round when we swapped the roles round, like Nick took the tank, I took the DPS. It felt like it actually gelled a lot better.
Yeah.
And it felt as if when we just made that the first time we tried it, you know, we tried one composition as a team where I was the tank and Nick was the DPS, and you know, we tried that, it didn't work. We learned from that experience, we went off, worked out how to get around that.
Yeah. And you just generally kind of weren't enjoying the druid, if I remember rightly. You fancied like a change up.
The druid got a bit... I don't know. It was good at first, but then it was like some of the simplest things I wanted to do, and it was like, no, you can't do that, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Druid's a hard balance because it's like every single role. You can be the damage dealing melee fighter, you can be the like rogue type, you can be the tank, you can be a healer, you can be a spell casting damage dealer. You can be like literally anything as a druid. So it's a little bit overwhelming for choice, I guess. And just getting all these skills and forms and shit like that can be very overwhelming as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad you both enjoyed it. So I suppose that's technically the end of the player's choice talk for World of Warcraft. We've only been
No one
going,
can
like,
say otherwise this time.
yeah,
So
exactly.
we did it properly. We're all at the appropriate level,
Yeah,
and it worked. Made it through. We beat the boss, got the loot.
yeah.
Jobs are good.
And I know, Sam, you were talking about maybe continuing with a different character at some point, like a horde character. Have you made like
Yeah.
a decision on that, or?
I am going to go back and make a horde character as well.
Cool.
But I also want to keep leveling up my alliance character, my good old cheese cloth. I think I call it, yeah, cheese cloth.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to you that I've got like, if I do decide to come back in a few months' time and you're still playing it, I've got like a wide range of leveled characters that I can just hop on one and join you guys.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no big deal.
It was a good experience. I did feel like we did. After doing the dungeon, I did feel that personally, I was like, okay, I need a slight break from this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fine. Like World of Warcraft, don't get me wrong, is good, but it can be taxing sometimes.
It's held up remarkably well.
Oh yes, brilliant game. But that's why it's lasted as long as it has.
Yeah, and it's still frickin' subscription based.
Yep.
I will not stray away from that.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on from World of Warcraft, unless any of you have any closing thoughts about it. That felt pretty closing to me.
Yeah, that was closing.
Yeah. Samuel.
Yes.
Sam, my
yes.
friend.
Yes. Yes.
What have you been playing?
I have been playing some more old games this week.
Oh yeah.
First of all, I'm going to start the list off. I know I've got them listed differently. I'm going to do it more in order of what I've been doing them as.
Yeah.
I decided to hop under the sea, somewhere under the sea, to a little old place called Rapture, and start playing Bioshock again.
Love that game. Are you playing the remastered one?
Yes, yeah, it's the remaster. It's definitely, I can't even begin to formulate like the feeling it makes me feel when I'm actually playing it when you're in that environment in game. Like, you have a sense of wonder, a sense of like there could be something around the corner that's gonna come and end me.
Yeah.
And also, like, with it being under the sea, you like when you just hear like the outside noises of under the ocean and the sea, and you're like, it all blends together into an atmosphere where you really feel like you're in this society where basically it all went down the pan. And quite rapidly, what was peaceful has descended into like chaos and anarchy.
Yeah.
So I'm just slowly chipping away at Bioshock.
You've been streaming it.
I have.
Yeah.
I have been streaming it. I guess that's the game news. I made the return to streaming stuff.
Twitch.tv/It's Waffles Royale with a Z.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I used to absolutely fucking love Bioshock. I just kind of wish there was more like when you're looking out the glass on the ocean, I kind of wish there was more dynamic sea life stuff going on. Because I feel like every time something big goes by, whether I can't remember if there's an octopus, but like a whale, it's always at like a cinematic moment where you're practically forced to see it go by.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish you could just like, oh, I'm gonna stand here and just watch this for 5 minutes while I'm eating my dinner, and oh my god, that is a goddamn megalodon, or just
Yeah,
maybe not megalodon, but something like that. It doesn't
yeah,
quite feel dynamic. It's very scripted, I guess you could call it. But
yeah. It's
I feel like Rapture as a whole is a very cool place.
well, I know we had a bit of a conversation. I said it on the stream, and I was like, if you could visit like Rapture before it all went down, would you go visit?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know the counter question to that from you was, would you rather visit Rapture or Columbia, which is Bioshock Infinite? And then I had to weigh it up between being scared of heights and being scared of like deep bodies of
Depths.
water.
Mm.
And then as soon as you was like, I was like, "Is this was it Rapture before it went down?" You was like, "Yes, it's before it like went to hell." I was like, "Oh, well, it seems like it'd be a good place." And then when you pointed out the fact that you'd probably just be greeted with racism up in Colombia, I was
Yep.
like,
Yep.
"Yeah, just remember the intro for not spoilers for anyone, but." I just remember the introduction to Bioshock Infinite, and I was like, "Yeah, I will go under the sea."
Yeah.
It was, but overall, Bioshock, good game. Looking forward to playing some more of it, and yeah, I'll be continuing to stream that.
Has very much been tempting me to go back. Like I have had the remaster for 1 and 2 installed on my computer for since I got these hard drives, and I've been meaning to go back and just haven't found the drive to, I guess you could say.
Do it.
But I will. What else have you been playing then?
I very recently, as recently as the other day, decided what's another game that I started playing, and I just sort of dropped off playing it, and I wish I hadn't, and that was Mafia 3.
Oh,
So I started playing Mafia 3 again, and it it's quite jarring. So you play as Lincoln Clay. Is a war is a war veteran, so it's set like around the time of Vietnam, which is already a very choice subject. Like even today, Vietnam is still a choice subject, especially in America, and also it was also around the time where like racial division and like all that, like the civil rights movement was all sort of pushing around at the same time.
yeah.
And so you play as an African American character, and some of the interactions are very like they're very sometimes uncomfortable to watch. Like especially they kind of do a good job of portraying what it was like back in that period.
Yeah.
And some of the certain slurs used to describe the protagonist is very
Of the time.
yeah, of the time it can be very uncomfortable to watch. So much so I was debating, I was like, can I actually like stream this because the amount of times that comes up? And then of course I did a bit of digging around and research, and it was like, nah, Twitch allows it because
Yeah.
it's in context of a game. Like it's not the main focus, it's in the game with context. So that's, I guess, another announcement. I will be streaming Mafia 3. I just need to start a new save because I can't stop playing it recently. And to cap off, well, actually, no, to cap off mainly what I have been playing as well is I know we've started to dig into Far Cry 5.
Yes, we have. I actually completely forgot to add that to my list, but we last night we decided to watch some of my clips that I'd taken from my PS4 because they added like a new feature with PS4 where you can save screenshots and clips, which is one of the best features added to a console, in my opinion. Is saved me some incredible moments. And yeah, Far Cry popped up, and I believe there were a couple of clips of us playing it, or maybe
Yes.
just the one hilarious clip of us playing it. And we decided, fuck it, let's go back to it. So yeah, we downloaded some Far Cry 3, and had a blast on that. And that was a lot of fun. I do enjoy that game. It can feel like you're not really doing much at times. Like it'll give you direction towards a main objective, but it feels like it doesn't really feed you side quests as much as I'd want it to. It'll give you like little there's a lot of shit to destroy on the map, so it'll be like, oh, you just rescued this person, which is just like a random small event that happens, and then they will give you the location for another random small event, or they'll potentially give you one for a side quest, but that is a lot less likely to happen. So it's a lot of us saving people, and when we actually save them and don't immediately kill them after the fact, they will give us like the locations of these shrines that you can blow up to piss this religious family off, who are kind of like the religious family are like the antagonists of the game. And yeah, I've been having fun with it. It's a bit of a shame that it only runs at 30 FPS on PS5. Like, there's no different modes. There's no like fidelity mode or resolution mode, frame rate mode, whatever the hell. It's just like locked at 30. Unlike an Xbox Series S and X, where they have the I think it's called Game Boost or Frame Boost, something like that, and that can bring it up to 60. It just kind of baffles me that Ubisoft haven't implemented that with Far Cry 5. Although, maybe they will. I mean, look, they fucking did it with Assassin's Creed Origins, didn't they? So,
Yeah.
there's always time.
So yeah, overall, it's been fun so far. I mean, like you said, it does have its dead points,
Yeah.
but like when it descends into chaos between us playing it, it's just hilarious.
Which happens often.
I was having to like skip cutscene dialogue just to get through to get the next part of the mission because somebody, not mentioning any names, would keep grenading them.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd be like, 1 minute, let me talk to him. Right, I've skipped the audio. Okay, right, here's his next mission. It was, but it's funny, it's comical. It's one of them games I like where we're not taking it too seriously. We are going to be chipping away at it, I imagine, but not taking it too seriously. We're just having fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's Far Cry 5, boys and girls, and other sentient beings. And to top it all off, to cap everything off what I've been doing, I've been watching a series on Netflix called Lucifer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Lucifer is absolutely brilliant. Just to give a short perspective, it is basically the devil. Lucifer obviously is the devil, and he has come up from hell to take, as he calls it, a little vacation to Los Angeles, where he becomes involved with the LAPD and ends up basically becoming a consultant for the LAPD. So he's helping them like do their job while he's also like dealing with his own stuff. Like he's got siblings. He's got brothers who are angels and other family members who are from heaven, and there's like, and then when he's not in hell overseeing what's going on, like there's a lot going on down there where you've got God sending Lucifer's brothers trying to like send him back down there to do his job, and Lucifer's just ignoring them.
It's a very funny blend, a fun blend of like a detective show, like fucking NCIS or whatever the hell.
Yes.
I've never watched NCIS in my life, and like a supernatural sort of deal.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like the casting. A lot of the cast are very fun. They've got good
Tom Ellis.
Yes. Yeah.
Tom Ellis as Lucifer is just brilliant. Like, I'm kind of sad that it's over now. Like, for anyone wanted the main series, it's all on Netflix now, which is great. Because originally it was on Amazon Prime, and then it got cancelled. Amazon, like as they always seem to do after a while, I suppose with any network, they cancelled it. And then Netflix, there were a whole big like Save Lucifer campaign online, and it paid off because Netflix then bought the rights to Lucifer, and they made like the last, I think it was like 2 seasons, or it could be a couple more seasons.
Yeah.
And then when they had a deal with Amazon where Amazon kept the first number of seasons for so long, and then when that ended, they've all now just been transferred over to Netflix. So if you've got a Netflix subscription, or you live with someone who does, or you can acquire one somehow, I'm not encouraging password sharing, but I'm only saying that so Netflix don't try to charge me £2.50 extra. Give it a blast. You won't regret it, and you'll find yourself laughing more than anything whilst watching it.
Yeah, I feel like you get the gist of the show in the first episode. So if you don't like the first episode, it's very likely that you're not going to enjoy the rest of it.
Yes.
But I'd recommend trying the first episode at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that caps off everything I've done this week for playing/watching. Oh, no, I lie. I watched the last episode of Kenobi, but that's all I'm going to say, because it wasn't.
Are you going to give you a review a bit later?
I
mean, you're welcome to give it now if you want.
It's a very short review.
Right.
Disney, on behalf of, I'm guessing, billions of fans around the globe, please leave Star Wars alone. It's not helping. I know you spent a lot of money on it, but I mean, stick to the video games, that's fine. You're doing a good job with the games, somehow. But please just leave live action Star Wars alone. Like, it's like beating a dead horse now.
Fair enough.
And overall, I would review the entire Kenobi series a dismal 3.5 out of 10.
Oof.
Yep.
Right, then. Well, moving on to something that is way less dismal. Martin, what have you been playing/watching?
Playing across this week wasn't anything new, particularly. It was always the same stuff that I play with the friends that like to play these games.
Yeah.
Like Smite and other things. But I finally finished Arcane. I finally sat and finished Arcane. That's the only thing I've done that's different. And I can't remember if it was even last week or when it is Days of All Blended together. But I watched Arcane and it was actually really good.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed the series. I'm very much excited for a season 2. I don't know if I can go into full. I don't know if I should go into full spoilers for it all.
I mean, we can always tag it as spoilers, I guess.
Sure, give it a spoiler tag, give it a thing, and we'll mark it as this is going to be spoiler things.
Yeah. Okay, so from now on, spoilers for Arcane. Spoilers for Arcane. If you don't know what happens at the end of Arcane,
even all during Arcane, I'm talking about all of Arcane.
Yeah, all of Arcane. Pause the podcast and go watch it. Onward.
Yeah, like we'll put timestamp in for when the spoilers end for Arcane.
Yeah.
I guess if you want. Yeah.
Everything will be timestamped in the comments. By me.
Nice. Don't put all that work in. Yes, but Arcane was really, really good. I loved the writing of all the characters. Everything felt very real, and nothing felt forced. Everything was pushed very natural. Even Silco being the bad guy of it all, he was never... It was very apparent from the very beginning that he's not a bad guy. He's a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy. He's just been shaped and changed by the Undercity and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they call it the Undercity, but the Undercity is the best name for it that I can think of without remembering the name. And he became the leader through necessity and trying to push everyone out of everything that there was, develop the Shimmer, do all these things. And you have obviously Vi, who grew as a character. You had Jinx, who we saw grow as a character. And everything that happened to her and her struggling with almost like all the voices in her head of all the friends that died and things throughout the whole series, and the whole political struggle that was happening. You know, everyone was really stubborn and everyone cared about money, and it was so obvious, and they told you that, and they kept that consistent. They kept it very consistent. I find a lot of the time when people write stories, it usually can take a while for them to come up with the story. So as they're writing it, they have an idea of what they want a certain character to do, or how they want them to be in the end.
Yeah.
And then they start shifting and changing the writing to fit that new narrative of the character they have later without realizing it. And it gets to the point where then starts feeling forced that they've done a certain thing when it didn't really make sense to their character. Because they had an idea for them and they pushed it they started changing it too soon before the events happened and things. Or other stuff like that. They were very, very consistent. Even when things were going shit, they were very much like, this is what we've always done.
Yeah.
You know, hence we were told at the very beginning, yeah, they're going to push for money, you know, and go for that all the time, and then they did, you know. So, and like we saw that with JC, we're going around shaking everyone's hand to come up with a deal, you know. You'll sharing all the profits of this new tech, of the hex tech that they were developing, you know. Got everyone on the side, and then they got Heimerdinger out, and then they do the same thing again later, where it's like, you know, how much money they can make from the profiting of it, you know, of the whole Undercity and all the war that was brewing and things. It was just really, really well done and felt very real. Everyone was very consistent. Everyone had motives that they stuck to. And yeah, it then ended up with the whole... It was really funny because I'd heard the audio on TikTok, but I still got me where essentially Jinx has Vi tied up at the end on the chair. And she's like, I paid your girlfriend to let her visit. You know, and she comes in with this fucking like silver platter with the, you know, like the big bowl that sits on top.
Yeah.
The little handle. And I'm like, if that's fucking Caitlin's head, I swear I am done with this. And so they're doing that, and I'm like, I've heard this audio before where it's just like cupcake or something, and it's just there. It's like, I'm not that cruel or evil. But like, I'm still sat there like freaking like, oh my god, if this is that, you know, it'd be crazy. And yeah, it was just really well. It was really, really well done. Nothing ever felt forced in the whole thing. The max I have of anything that kind of felt sort of forced, but not even really, was the very end when she sat in the chair that labeled Jinx, you know, and she's like, oh, I felt like you know, but you've changed, and like telling her the vi's changed and everything else like that. Yeah. It didn't really feel forced. It was just a kind of thing of like not fully understanding why she then sat in the chair and adopted this thing when... No, Silco was like, the whole argument they had was like Silco saying, oh, she's lying to you, does the stuff. And she ended up shooting Silco and being like really upset about it all, obviously. And then Silco saying, I never would have abandoned you. You know, never would have given you away. And she kind of like almost used that regret and grief to go and sit in the chair almost. But I feel like if it would have been a little bit better, it would have been a perfect 10 out of 10 series if they just pushed that narrative in that way to me to understand that. But it hit the point where I didn't understand it to why she then got the big rocket launcher and shot it to the palace, which was still really cool. The place where they all sit and have the discussions of things.
Yeah,
you know, and they're all taking the vote of having peace with the Undercity and giving them their own nation essentially. Which shows it wouldn't have worked anyway, because if Silco was right, he wasn't going to give up Jinx, so they wouldn't have had it anyway. Because that was part of the deal, obviously. But it gave me overall a 9.8. series.
Oh my.
Like, it was just really, really good. There was not a single part of it that I look at that I did not like. And not a single character that I didn't like. Even the bad guys I liked. Everyone had motives for everything. Yeah. It was overall just really, really good. Stick with it. If they can do second season just as well as that, I'll happily watch that.
Yeah. Huh?
But yeah, that's a new thing. I enjoyed the series. Finally finished that off, and I'm gonna start something else in the meantime.
Fair enough.
But that's it for this week.
Right. I was going to talk about RPG Maker VX Ace, which I have been quote unquote playing, but I'm not gonna. So moving on to Player's Choice. Last week we rolled a die when it was just me and Martin, and it finally landed on Martin.
Finally!
He has been sat on this game for...
weeks, millennia, months. Yes. 8 must have gone by.
So, Martin, what was the game that you chose?
The
for us to play?
game is my favorite game of all time. One that I argue with a lot of people is something that pushed the gaming industry in such a positive direction, in such a magnificent way, more than I would argue any of the others, really, in a lot of ways. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time
Yes.
on the Nintendo 64.
And your objective for us was to get to the village below Hyrule Castle. I forget the name
Yes.
of it, or the town, I should say.
It's just Hyrule Town. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
It's Hyrule Market, but it's this little town.
Right. And we very much did that. Sam,
Oh yeah.
what were your thoughts on The Legend of Link?
It was dismal. I'm joking. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I had a few hiccups at the start, more technical issues, but overcoming them, the experience was surprisingly fun. Like, I'm the kind of guy that looks at like the older Nintendo 64 games, and like the control system usually is enough for me to be like, yeah, I was okay playing this as a kid, but
It's a struggle.
yeah, it's a struggle. I realise how much I take having a second analog stick for granted.
With the camera
To
movement.
Move the camera around, yes.
And also the, inverted aiming. Or inverted up and down, I should say.
Yep.
Cannot stand that shit. Or at least if you're going to add it, make it optional.
Yeah. I've seen for a lot of people the invert stuff, they need it optional, but yeah, I think I'm just used to it. I'm used to the invert stuff for all that. Yeah, carry on, Sam.
Honestly, overall, it was good. I had a good time with it. I haven't played any more of it since getting to that objective, but I have very much committed myself to going back to it to play some more. To just keep going, really. It's just been a case of finding the time.
Yeah.
But when I do find the time, I will sit down and I will be playing some more, because it was nice.
Yeah.
There's so fewer games that get made nowadays that are like it. And it's still something that stands up as a good game.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's such just a fun game to play, and all of the puzzles that are part of it. And like this area has all these things that you can't access yet and do these things yet. And it's just a nice little RPG with like set areas you can walk around with a map instantly, unless it's a dungeon, and you just know what you're doing walking around. You can walk around and see all these things.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
Fable, the first Fable, very much reminds me of it. It's the sectioned off areas, essentially.
Yeah, like Oakvale and Bowerstone and
And they're all really pleasant places with pleasant music that you just really like to walk around in.
Exactly. And why do you think First Fable's the better one? Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. What were your thoughts then, Nick?
Well, I have a page of notes, although at some point I started to forget to take notes down because, both of you were watching me play and just...
Didn't want to just stop and start writing, hang on, guys.
My mind kind of just went blank.
Yeah.
So, my first note. The first cinematic isn't particularly engaging. Link has a nightmare and sees Zelda and Ganon after a tree says some shit. That was my very first impression with the initial cinematic. It doesn't really give you much. I don't even think anybody says a word in that cinematic, do they?
No.
Until Navi is flying around.
Yeah, it's the whole Deku goes, right, it's time. Go and be a sparrow, wake him up. Because it's just sad.
The music is great. I like this village theme song. Confusing controls. Using an Xbox One controller for an N64 game.
It's not the best. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, because the N64 controller has, nowadays, all the controls are kind of standardized to what they call 4 face buttons, 2 analog sticks, 1 face directional pad, and 4 triggers on the back. Whereas the N64 controller was 1 button on the back, for your left hand. It had an L and an R bumper essentially, and 6 face buttons.
And it was
because it had A and B, and then this all the C buttons. I think it's a great controller because I grew up with it. And then it had a directional pad, and then 1 analog stick in the middle with the big red start button. So it's completely separate layout. for it. Obviously, when you're playing with that controller, no fucking issues whatsoever. There's not a single issue when you're playing with it. But yeah, with other controllers, it's like, what did I map these to?
Yeah.
You'd have to remember, like, the right thumbstick would be like C up and down, and map B and A obviously to be what they'd be on the Xbox controller, so I could look at them and do it.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah.
I've got the tutorials are helpful when you can actually figure out which button correlates to what.
Yep.
I thought the tutorialization was very good. I thought.
Yeah. Very much standards for kids. Like, hey, talk to me here, and you go down, like, press this thing, or you go to the outside the market, outside the shop.
Yeah.
Sorry. And she's like, hey, lock onto me by pressing the Z button.
Yep.
It's like, oh, it's so easy because it's straight up telling a kid to press this button.
Yeah.
You just find
I felt like fucking kid trying to figure it out.
Yeah, with the controller mapping. Yeah.
The women in the village are way too happy. I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do I get a sword?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know how people find it. It's something I'm looking at, like, if you don't know that, how the fuck do people find that shit? Like, it makes sense when you know the game fully. Like, you can look at the map and you go, oh, what's this weird thing that sticks out on the bottom of the map? I'll go and check that out. But all of this stuff without it, I'm like, how the fuck did I find this as a kid? I have no clue how I did it.
Also, I don't know who the hell is pushing that fucking boulder that goes around the square, but they need to fucking stop.
It's great. Yep.
Like all teenagers should be, I am now protected.
Gosh,
Hey, I found a sword. Pointless cinematic where I crawl out of a hole, and I wish the camera would stop facing in front of Link when I leave. Yeah, so like, when you climb into a hole, it goes into like a first-person view, and you start making your way through the tunnel. When you get out the other side, the camera is actually like facing Link and the hole, rather than
and it locks you in an animation of you crawling out of the thing.
Yeah, which, I mean, they don't, at least as far as I've played, they haven't like thrown enemies at you as soon as you leave that hole or anything like that, which I'm glad about.
Yeah, they don't, because it was a way to hide loading.
Yeah.
Is more what it is. It's like, make sure it's all properly loaded, and they just kept the same thing set up for it.
Yeah.
It's all part of that map, but yeah, it's for that. So it makes sense. Logistically, for a 24-year-old game, makes sense of like for the parts and the components at the time that they needed such little tweaks like that. But also, I guess it would be annoying. I want to start and walk straight out and go.
I did get used to it because it's kind of like a reveal. You get to reveal the vista of wherever the hell you are to yourself. Like, rather than it suddenly just being in your view, you have to manually, purposefully turn around to look at it, which I go back and forth on. It could be really good, cool for some people, like, and maybe it's because it's an old-looking game, so like the vistas of it aren't as grandiose as like some modern games would be. But yeah, I feel like that might have been part of the intention behind it. Anyway, don't interrupt me mid-combat to tell me I got an item. So this is when you're heading towards the Deku tree, and those 3 plants come out of the ground. I didn't realise they couldn't move. They basically just like vibrate on the spot to attack you.
Yeah, they spin around in a circle, I think.
Yeah. I killed one of them and I got the stick from it. And yeah, decided to like interrupt me in combat, and Link held up this stick like it was the fucking second coming. And that annoyed me. But
right in the middle of combat, you get a new item.
Yeah. That tree has the bushiest eyebrows and tree stash I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's great.
In all caps, fuck off, Navi.
Yeah, so you've both now experienced the meme that everyone makes all the time of that. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Watch out. Hey, look out.
Do you know who voiced Navi?
Not a clue. I've never looked
at it. I was going to say, it has like some certain inflections in its voice that it makes it sound like it was voiced by a child. Maybe that's just me.
She's voiced by Kaori Mizuhashi.
How old is she now?
I'm looking right now. She's 47 now.
Oh, right, yeah, she definitely.
So a 24-year-old game, and let's say they were making it for the 2 years. So, yeah, she was like 22, 23 or something.
Well, she's good at making herself sound like a stereotypical child, put it that way.
Yeah.
I put the minimap is not great. Why doesn't it show my position? But
You need to
I
get the
ended
compass.
up finding
Yep.
the compass, yeah, and that
Yeah.
solved everything. The low health sound is obnoxious. I still stick
Oh.
by that.
Do-do,
I
do-do,
fucking
do-do. It's like,
hate that
yeah,
noise.
it's
Too much.
when you are on the huff and you're hearing all the time, it's just like
Where is
I'm
the
fine
nearest
for the
heart?
first. I'm fine for the first like few,
Yeah,
and then after it's like right, give up now. Like I know that I'm low health, nothing has changed. I don't need the constant reminder.
yeah. I know it's really dumb, but I would almost prefer the like fucking red border around the screen. You know, like your eyes are bleeding on fucking Call of Duty or whatever. I would prefer that over that fucking noise. Fire mechanics, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
In
Get the stick, burn
in the
it.
Deku tree, yeah. Although I couldn't figure out what the fuck I was doing in that. You know where you have to light the stick and then you have to light that brazier for the bars to remove from the door.
Yeah.
So I thought you had to then take the stick while it was burning outside and light the webs on fire. So Sam was watching me at the time. The amount of times I went in and out of that fucking room, lighting that stick and going to like light the webs on fire outside until I finally realised that like, oh, there's a web right at the bottom in the centre of the room, or until I remembered that I should say. And then I thought, oh shit, do I need to take the stick down there? But it runs out way too quickly.
Yeah.
So then there was this whole rigmarole of me like fucking throwing myself off of the edge, but I was holding up on the stick so that you like safely roll.
Would roll, yeah.
So I was just completely not breaking through the webs, and eventually I figured it out.
Yeah.
And my last note that I took, this was a quote from one of the fucking little plant guys. It's so annoying that I'm going to reveal the secret of Queen Goma to you.
Yep.
And I've put, that is a fantastic line. That was such a fucking good line. It was daft.
It was great. Something I forgot to add.
Go on.
When a game gives you the opportunity to name your own character,
Yep.
that, like, if you name the character like I did,
It's
it can
dangerous.
create some hilarious dialogue moments, especially with the Deku tree.
Yep.
Now, that was great.
Yeah.
So childish, but
I think-
so good.
Yes.
There's challenge ones like that, and then there's one that was really funny, which so at the time me and Sam came a bit later to watch you playing it, Nick.
Yeah.
And I knew from the start that obviously people say the name that you picked. And you made your character's name Zelda. So everyone was calling you Zelda. And then someone
That is the
watching it,
character's name.
yeah, that's the character's name that you picked was Zelda. So it's like you're going through it all, and then Sam said like, "Why is everyone calling you Zelda? I don't understand." And it's like not knowing, obviously, not seeing the game that they're going to call you by the name that you write in. So it's
Yeah.
no, Nick wrote it in. I just thought it was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Actually, if I may, since we're a pretty adult podcast, my name wasn't childish. Well, it was, but it was left. I called myself Twink. Just Google that name. But an example of the dialogue that absolutely killed me, if I may, fellas.
Go
Yep.
for it.
Oh, where is the picture of the Deku tree? I had to take a picture of the Deku tree. Basically, here we go. Twink, the time has come to test thy courage, and the other one was now enter brave Twink, and thou too, Navi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was absolutely killing myself at that.
It does create some good stuff.
Yeah. Was such a child. Children.
Yours made me laugh though when you finally met Princess Zelda. She was like, "Oh, Princess, what's your name?" And you said Zelda. She's like,
Sounds familiar.
"Yeah, it sounds familiar."
It's like I should put it up. So.
Link's just looking at her like, "Really?" Oh, it was great. I loved
But yeah,
it.
I have been thoroughly enjoying that game. I also haven't played it since that time that you guys watched me, but I
Yeah.
fully intend to do so. I've
Nice.
thoroughly enjoyed it. The music's
yeah.
so fucking good.
I mean, it's great. Yeah.
Don't know how I feel about the day and night cycle. It feels a little bit pointless. Maybe something don't tell me if it does, but maybe something comes up with it later on. But
Yeah.
for now, it just feels a little pointless because night only lasts like fucking 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, and the same as like when you, because so people that don't know, the day night cycle only elapses when you're out in like the overworld. So if you're out in a Hyrule Field, it goes fast. But if you're in like a town or in the villages and shops and things like that, even in dungeons, time does not pass. It stays whatever time it was when you went in there.
Yeah, and it seems like the reason for that is like they wanted some people in some locations at night and some people in
Yeah.
other locations during the morning and whatnot.
Because you can do that. You can go to, well, both. Like there's this. Like, I don't want to give obviously anything away, and that's what I'm trying to avoid in what I'm saying. There, as you're saying, obviously yourself, it seems to have it where there's certain people at certain parts during the day and some parts at night. You can obviously go into the marketplace at nighttime.
Yeah.
If you like stand on the drawbridge, and then with the moment, like, 'cause that's one thing when you go into the castle that you all saw. For the people then at home, when it hits nighttime, the drawbridge gets raised, and you're cut off from going into the marketplace in the castle. If you stand on the drawbridge and it raises up, then you can go straight in, or you can go stand at Hyrule Castle because that's Castle's at Overworld. So time passes, and you can go back to the market and experience the nighttime version of the market. And
that's interesting.
there are different people at different parts, as you were saying. It's same as in Kakariko Village. It's same all over the place, and whether there's a reason for that, who knows? I'm not going to tell you then, obviously, because you said not to.
Is there an obvious way to tell if you're in the overworld? Or is it literally just like watching the time pass?
You could look up at the sun, and it will then just obviously be moving because it moves so quickly.
Right, okay.
In terms of telling if you're in the overworld, not really. I don't know of any obvious way, personally.
Right. Fair enough.
There's a lot more to a lot of things without giving us the spoilers. It was cool for you to be going around other areas because for the people listening, you went into like Hyrule like river, the river that goes down. I can't remember exactly the name of it because it leads to another area that I know the name of that I don't want to say then. And you're like, oh, I can't get past these things, so I'm going to have to come back there. And all these areas are fully set up for all the other items that you get there.
Yeah.
Coming to this thing, doing that thing. And everything was just so linked together all the time for everything you have to get and all the items you get and what you do. And for such an old game as well, being so like large as it is, or feeling so large as it is, for especially back then playing it. And you'll see more, like without giving any spoilers, obviously. There's a lot more in there. Like it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Completely tip of the iceberg of what both of you have seen. There's a lot more to experience. So I'm glad you both actually say I'm going to carry on playing it.
Yeah.
Because even the 3D graphics of the time, obviously, were being pushed to show that, hey, you can make a giant RPG with 3D graphics, and it'd be good and engaging, and have all this stuff in there that you can experience. Yeah. So yeah, there's so much I can say. I'm trying to think about what to not give us spoilers, obviously. Well, without giving anything away.
As I'm progressing, I will like hit you up, so you can talk about the progress I've made and whatnot every so often.
Hell yeah!
You have that promise.
Even little things to like the animation of like when you get the shields that we both saw.
Yeah.
So you start with the Kokiri shield, the wooden shield, which says that you can burn. And as you said, there's fire mechanics.
Yeah.
And then which sort of games don't even have nowadays. And then you have the Hylian shield. Or healing shield pronunciations, who cares? That when you equip your two swaffies, you just crouch down. You just kind of like tuck up like almost like into a ball. You just fully bend over and just everything hits you and you're invincible.
It's funny because that animation is like instant. So,
yeah,
just like
full instant. Like damn,
the block button is so good.
Yeah, you knock yourself out from it, but bang. It just makes this little metallic sound. It's like straight down. There's so many, like, one thing I like about the game as well is just the time and care that went into it. Yeah. Still shines through to this day because there's so many games that we see nowadays being made just for profit. And most of the time now it's everyone sitting in a meeting and being, how can we make the most money from this? Well, let's have this thing and let's have that thing in. Everyone likes this feature, let's put that in, even if it doesn't complement the game. There's not a single thing in here that doesn't complement the game in some way. There's always a purpose to everything. That's so far that I can even think of. You know, even the collectibles, it's like, oh, here's things that actually benefit you. It's not just collecting them for the sake of having it on the screen.
Yeah.
You went inside God's Sculpture in the house, and it's like, hey, you know, kill all you break the curse, and you'll make you insanely wealthy. You know, there's purposes to these things. There's purposes to like going and getting these items and those items, and little things that you find. Like, there's even later on another thing you might find later that we like you find and you don't really notice anything worthwhile until then you get it and you're like, oh, I know what this part is. Then and you go to this is the part and you do that without having any idea what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You know, to get past certain parts, and it didn't tell you. You know, it's from experiencing the game that you end up finding a lot of these things.
I'm
You know, so
assuming
especially
the was it called Bombaji Range that you wanted me to do?
oh yeah, the bomb chew,
bowling?
the
Yeah,
bomb
that's
chew
the
bowling
one.
alley.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
assuming that gives you the. Again, don't tell me. I'm assuming that gives you the bomb bag, which then lets you hold bombs, which then lets you destroy boulders. Is what my assumption is. But yeah,
Yeah, I genuinely can't remember. I don't think I don't know.
all I know is you said it was worth.
Oh no, I do
doing.
know. Yeah, it's just for there's for fun, and you can get an item from it that's useful.
Right.
I'm saying what it is. It's it's up to you whether I think it's useful, but yeah, I think you need a different thing before that. Like I said, I'm not giving spoilers, obviously. If you don't, I could give spoilers about talking about all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still a lot more to experience with the game.
Good.
And it's just typically aspect and seeing all of it, like everything has a use that I know of.
Yeah. I think
And that's
this is my favourite type of open world as well. Like I mentioned with Fable, I like the open worlds
Yes.
that feel big but are actually rather small in comparison to like a Morrowind or whatnot.
yeah, 100%. There's like Morrowind can obviously be good in its own right for things. There's no shadow of a doubt there. But it's different for this one like Fable because it's separate areas.
Yeah.
That are just nicer. So many open world games have just nothingness. And you're walking around, it's like, look, this area is full of trees. And he's walking through trees for 5 minutes. And it's like, okay, and I'm climbing the scale of this giant mountain and I can't climb for no real purpose that it's being there. But it's just there to fill in the world. Everything feels like a filler. Whereas games like Fable and Here and Ocarina of Time, you go around and obviously I'm not telling you where any of them are, but there might be some little like hidden things to go into.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing on the map of them. And there's only certain ways to find out that you can go into them and do these things. You know, because they're hidden until you do something.
Yeah.
And that's part of the world. They're all part of it's just there. And even if it is like there's nothing there and it's just traversing to a part, it's not so immensely big that it takes you 5 minutes to get to a place by running.
Yeah.
That you have to fast travel everywhere. You can run to there and it's really not an issue.
And it kind of looks like you get a mount at some point. So
yeah, because you see in the beginning cutscene, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like that time is going to get cut down even more, which, yeah, sure.
So it's there's nothing wrong with it, and it can get there's like without giving any more spoilers, obviously for things, it can get cut down very easily.
Yeah.
So it is worthwhile playing. There's so much to it all, and even the mini games feel like they have a purpose of things you can get from them. And there's even certain parts things that are really useful later. There's certain parts later where you can get to that opens up a whole new dynamic, and you go do a thing, and then you're going through. This is one part where you have basically a dungeon, and basically a different kind of dungeon that they've made so far, and it just you get loads of really good items. But yeah, overall, it's really, really good, and I'm happy that you're all playing it.
Yeah,
going to play
highly recommend people to play it. Very good.
Yeah.
Right, moving on to news. Sam, could you take these top 2 stories, please? The Final Fantasy ones. Oh wait, I should preface this actually. A lot of the news this week is kind of anime games that none of us really care about. Or I don't know why I said anime games.
Yeah.
It's a lot of games that we don't really care about or play.
That I haven't played.
Yeah,
I care about them, and I want to play them. I just haven't got around to myself. Yeah.
We just don't know much information about them. Is kind of the point I'm getting at. And yeah, Sam, could you take these 2?
Ooh, be my pleasure. So, Square Enix have announced the second part of the Final Fantasy VII remake is subtitled Rebirth. There's a trailer and a release window set for next winter, so that'll be next year.
Nice. I keep meaning to play that remake because I want to say everybody got it for free on PS Plus, but I just never got around to it.
Hmm.
I enjoyed the first one. So yeah, they're finally bringing part 2 to us, which I'll see how that pans out. I feel like it could have come sooner, but they decided to do like remakes of remakes for next gen consoles, and then like add stuff to the remake stuff to add to the remake. That made no sense. Anyway, it's a long twisted path.
I want to say there's 3 parts to this as well. I believe they've said.
Yeah, it's almost following like the original format of it, like the original Plix. It all like came. It's almost as if they've taken like the fact that it came multiple disced on the PS1.
Yeah.
And they just. In another word, it's a good way of stretching out a game so customers will pay like nearly £60 per release.
Hell
and
yeah.
they'll end up with like a near £200 game, depending on how many parts they make.
Well, to be fair, it was a lot of content, so.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of content. I have my personal gripes with it, but it's one of them. But the next bit on the Final Fantasy agenda, which I can share quite a few details about, because there is quite a lot there.
It's fresh off the presses.
Fresh, hot off the presses. So hot, I feel like my fingers are going to burn. The new Final Fantasy 16 game that was announced recently, there's been a slew of details.
Oh.
Arcane battles, I think I'm saying that right, Arcane. Arcane battles are playable with multiple stages. Each of them does feel different. The main character, Clive, can encounter them as a small human. Clive will also live through different stages in his life. So through teenage years, the 20s and the 30s. The game is rated mature due to its adult themes. Clive appears to be the only controllable character as well, so there's none of this controlling multiple characters. But that being said, you will have companions, but they are AI driven. Torgal the wolf could be a full-time party member.
Hell
Yoshida,
yeah, can you pet the dog?
I hope you can. If
Better
not,
be
there's
able
that
to.
Twitter. If not, there's that Twitter account. Which,
Yeah.
and since then, I feel like developers have purposely put in petting the dog as an
Good.
option to like just get like on the good books of that Twitter account. So they are doing God's work. I love them for it.
Right.
Yoshida confirmed that the game won't be open world, but it will use larger zones instead to create a sense of global scale, which I'm always a fan of. And this is the one that I am interested in, will contain a new combat system due to wanting to get new players on board, and it fits better with how they present in this game. So I don't know anything about the combat system. I know the old combat system was a little bit.
Just
As a new player,
basically.
when I tried using it, it was sometimes I was a bit like, "Oh, this is ridiculous," but I'm glad they're changing it. Defeating an Archon means you unlock its abilities and skill trees. Clive can become an Archon himself. Watch me be saying this word like wrong as well.
To be honest, I wouldn't know how to say it. I would have said icon.
Icon, that's I don't mean the rat. You don't become the rapper, people. You become something else. I'll just clarify that. A new trailer is going to be shown this fall, and to
you might as well take the other Final Fantasy one.
And to cap off the Final Fantasy train, Final Fantasy Tactics celebrated its 25th anniversary on June 25th. So 2 days ago, this has been recorded on the 22nd. So
I know that's very a divisive game, is Tactics. I feel like one party fucking adores that game, thinks it's the best Final Fantasy game, and the other thinks it's trash. So I've never played it myself, but yeah, that's a lot of Final Fantasy details for you Final Fantasy heads out there, you Final Fantasy perverts.
I don't know if Italy told us anything. There's a lot of them.
I'm assuming the icons are like the God Forces, I think they used to be called in the old Final Fantasy games. You know, like fucking Ifrit and Shiva and all that. I assume. I'm pulling that out of my ass.
Generally, I can't remember.
Martin, could you take these next two stories, please?
Alright, so next one. The manga Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto will start on Shonen Jump Plus web service on July 13th. I know a
Yeah,
couple of Chainsaw Man fans. I'm going to have to let them know that's actually the
yeah.
case.
Everything I've seen of Chainsaw Man has literally been cosplays. Just cosplays
Yeah.
coming out their ass.
I've seen cosplays and
It looks
the Medea bot
ridiculous.
on Discord, and they all look silly.
Yeah,
Everything
I love
as
it.
you'd expect from something called Chainsaw Man, everything has chainsaws attached to them.
Yep.
It's basically like someone who loved The Evil Dead. I was like, we do this but more.
He's got like two chainsaw hands and a chainsaw face, I believe.
Yeah, I think someone has that, and other people have got chainsaw heads. It's just weird. I've not started it, but I've heard from people it's actually good. I don't know if I can believe it, but you know, good for them. I'll definitely at least check it at some point.
Yeah.
And this one, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Direct announced for June 22nd. The expansion pass announced to be coming next year will cost $29.99 in dollars.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'd be cool. And I really loved the look of Xenoblade. So, and then I knew the third one, and I'm like, I missed out. Damn. But I'll have to.
I don't think I've ever seen anything of Xenoblade. In fact, I'm gonna
Yeah.
Google it now just to see.
I remember seeing the trailer for Xenoverse 2, and I'm like, Xenoverse, which one? Is Xenoblade Chronicles. And I remember seeing the trailer for number 2, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks so great! I want it! Never had the money.
This franchise always blends in with the like Tales of franchise. You know, like
Yes.
Tales of Vesperia and all that. Always blends in with those for me. Maybe that's because
It's very
anime,
easy for
but it's
Yeah. They're all stylized the same, so it's really hard to tell.
yeah.
If you don't know and you're just like seeing it in passing, you just know where to know. You know, I don't think there's a way to know if you've seen it in passing.
No.
But yeah, good for them. I mean, a lot of people really liked them. I heard a lot of people talking about them all the time, so good for them. Yeah.
Right, next news story. Game Pass just got some new games and is getting some more in the coming weeks. So currently, Shadowrun Trilogy and Total War 3 Kingdoms is out. And by the time this podcast comes out, on June the 23rd, FIFA 22 and Naraka Blade Point, which I believe we spoke about last week and I think the week before, they're both coming out. And July the 1st, Far Cry 5 is coming out. This one, when I wrote this didn't interest me. But Far Cry 5 game mentioned, now that we're playing it, Sam, I kind of wonder if this is where we're going to hear about like some Far Cry 5 news, maybe about like a patch for the PS5 version or something like that. I know this is for Game Pass, but I don't know, it's making me hopeful, I'll say that.
Yeah, keeping it to the ground for it.
Yeah. And some titles are getting Xbox touch control support. We have Broken Age, I've heard that's a very good game. Bug Snacks, I enjoyed what I played. Chinatown Detective Agency, never heard of it. Kraken Academy with 2 exclamation marks, that is the actual title. Life is Strange True Colors. Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge.
Yeah.
Dungeon of Nahyolbyuk? Nahyolbyuk?
No idea. I'm looking at the name now, Nahulbuk.
And The Last Kids on Earth. So all of those games are getting some Xbox touch control support, whatever that means.
Watch it just be Norlook, as I guess the B is silent.
God,
For fuck's sake.
it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Early review scores are out. So we have Inverse gave it a 9 out of 10. Vux gave it a 4.5 out of 5. IGN gave it an 8. Game Informer gave it an 8. The Sixth Axis gave it an 8. Well Played also gave it an 8. Dexerto, I guess?
I guess
We'll go
not,
with
yeah.
that. Gave it a 7.5. GameSpot gave it a 7. Open Critic with 20 critics gave it an 80 out of 100. And Metacritic with 23 critics gave it an 83 out of 100.
And those are respectable scores, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Fire Emblem has been around for a very long time, and I've
Long time,
just
yeah.
never paid attention to it.
Hmm.
Because it's probably been on consoles that I just never owned, I guess. It's been on the Nintendo stuff, I think. But
Yes.
that sounds pretty good. So if you're a Fire Emblem warrior, it sounds like this is the one to grab.
Mm.
The 2022 live show viewership for Summer Game Fest was revealed. So there were 27 million live streams, which is up by 8% from 2021. 3.5 million peak concurrent global viewers. Yikes. Over 6,000 co-streamers. So that's like, I assume people who are streaming it and like talking over it essentially. And yeah, Jeff said the Summer Game Fest will return in June of 2023. In case there was any doubt whatsoever, I feel like everybody knew it was going to come back. But
Yeah.
the word is out there. And Sam, could you take this last story, please?
Absolutely. So, Hyenas announced a game, I believe.
Yes,
I
this is
assume,
also hot off the presses, actually.
coming to the Xbox Series X and S, coming to the Xbox One, coming to the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 and Steam. It's a PvE VP FPS,
So, player versus environment versus player.
which is always an interesting combo.
Yep.
And first person as well, which makes it even more interesting. I'm quite curious about this now I'm reading it. 15 players per match, split up into 5 teams of 3. Oh gosh. The goal is to steal the most treasures. Maps are set on freighter ships with 0 G segments, so floating.
Yeah.
You'll steal pop culture artifacts. I swear, if you can steal like an original Atari or something.
Well, in the screenshots that they showed, because there were a few screenshots released, there was like a Sonic keychain, I guess, that was dangling from someone's car.
Oh,
Guess it's gonna be shit like that.
oh, that's just
Maybe you're gonna be stealing like fucking Holy Grail or some shit.
You imagine them copies of ET that they buried in the desert.
That would be such a good heist. I would play that.
I would rob the desert when we're in space. Rob the desert.
Rob the desert.
Okay. There's no release date announced as of yet, but you can sign up for the alpha.
Yeah, and that basically wraps up the news. I will say I am kind of excited for that Hyenas. It looks very interesting from what I saw of the screenshots and the information that's out. I'm sure by the time it comes out, I will not touch it. But for now, I think it looks interesting. And yeah, that is a wrap on the news. So we would be moving on to new and upcoming games, movies, etc. But there isn't anything. I mean, there might be something, but I didn't fill it out because
There's nothing that we found,
Yeah.
at least worth mentioning for us. Yeah.
So we move right on into player's choice. Wow, this was a shortcast. I apologise to anybody whose commute is longer than an hour and 8 minutes.
You can
Yeah,
listen
like,
again. Listen again.
Yeah, just rewind it. Just
Yeah, come on. Just come back.
to like and
Right,
subscribe as well.
We're here all day. We're here all day.
Oh, we can't
Where-
if we
whenever
just keep
you do.
rewinding. Put it on a
Yeah.
loop. Right,
Yes.
so I didn't ask at the top of the podcast, but do you fellas each have something for this? Should it
do.
land on you?
I have like multiple choices, and I just need to check which ones is feasible. And like, I'm not going to win anyway. It was a fluke I won the first time, but like I have many options. It's just basically which one sounds the most interesting, and I was going to give options of.
You're just gonna be on
'Cause I don't know who's
streak
seen what.
from now on. You are only gonna win.
That'd be amazing.
It's your turn to roll the dice for us anyway, so it might swing in your favour.
Right.
Okay.
So player's choice for the new ones among you is a little segment we do where we get each other to play games that or watch things that we enjoy, consume things that we personally enjoy. So the idea is we roll a d3, and 1, 2, and 3 are correlated to each of us. So Martin is number 1, I am number 2, Sam is number 3. And whoever this D3 lands on they get to pick a game,
Oh
or
yeah.
movie, or anime, or whatever.
Whatever they want.
Yes,
What channel do you want me to roll it in? Because I can't find the channel we normally roll it. I don't know which one we normally roll it in.
memes and shit. Fuck it.
Memes and shit. Okay. All right, roll D3. We're ready.
Yes,
Go for it.
Let's go.
that is me
It's a 2.
again.
Hey.
So you know what? Just because I'm a dick, I'm gonna subject you guys to another MMO.
Oh god. Okay.
So I want you fellas to play City of Heroes. City of
City-
Heroes.
Yes.
It used to be one of my favourite MMOs back in the day, but in God, when was that even? Let me just double check really quickly. 6
It
years
looks like
ago,
just
it
6 years
was
ago.
shut down. The servers were shut down and it was wiped off of the face of the earth.
Damn.
So how are we gonna play it, I hear you ask?
Yes.
Oh, I was doing a bit. You were supposed to. Never mind.
Oh, well, how are we
So-
supposed to play it?
What the hell are we supposed to do?
So a private server has been going called City of Heroes Homecoming. Has been going for, well, I think since City of Heroes closed down, in fact. And we're going to be playing on that private server. So I don't have any issues mentioning that we're playing on this private server because it is literally the only private server for City of Heroes. It is the only way to play City of Heroes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So there's no clear objective in mind because I personally never really fucked with the quote-unquote dungeons in this game. So, although I guess if I was going to give us an objective, I'm going to say let's get to level 16.
Okay.
So City of Heroes is a game where you play as a superhero or a supervillain. I prefer heroes because they have better starting zones and better music and stuff like that. And from the ground up, you'll create your hero with shitloads of options. Like, this is probably the most in-depth MMO customization until Black Desert came along, put it that way. So, yeah, we're going to be playing that.
Okay.
We don't have to worry about roles. So, basically, there are, like, fucking 10 classes, I think, and each class has their own power sets that they get to choose from. So the tanker, who is typically considered the tank, he will get like he could get stone powers, so he's going to be punching people with stone fists or slamming them with stone hammers, or maybe he'll get like a battle axe or fucking just super strength, just flat out super strength. Then the second pool of powers will be your like your choice of how you protect yourself. So it might be like rapid regeneration, or it might be stone armor, so you can just cover yourself in like fucking rocks, or cover yourself in ice or electricity and all of this shit. And eventually you start unlocking like fast travel powers. So you get to get like, do you want to fly? Do you want super speed? Do you want super jumping? Do you want to teleport? It's a whole cacophony of things, and we're gonna see it all.
Hell yeah.
It's set in this like city that's kind of walled off by force fields, and there's shitloads of like gangs that are taking over, and the gangs are like fucking. There's some weird shit in there. You got your standard just like, oh yeah, typical fucking street gang, but then there's like a gang of necromancers that are raising people from the dead to just murk folks in the street. There's like these weird tree worshipping ritualist guys. There's a clan of demons. There's clans of aliens. There's all sorts of weird wacky shit. I don't know how much of it we're gonna see up to level 16, but yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't expect us to stick with this one, but yeah.
Be a good experience at least, because the only like superhero MMO I've done was like the DC Online or DC Universe Summit was called.
Oh yes, yeah. God, I checked how long I'd played that like a little while ago, and it was an embarrassing amount of time, even though it wasn't that good. But
Yeah, that was the unfortunate part. It was very, very dull.
it felt like it wanted to be Sea of Heroes. Is what it felt
Oh,
like
okay,
to me.
okay.
But I
Interesting
mean,
claim.
Sea of Heroes was kind of the first MMO, so I guess that's why it felt like that, maybe.
Hmm.
Anyway, in any case, I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with in character creation.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's a podcast, fellas. That is a podcast. A
Nice,
shortcast.
nice. The Shortcast.
That is 100% going to be the title, so let's just
Yeah.
highlight that and put 100%.
Yeah, the Shortcast.
Right, Sam, I think you have a beer to order. In fact, you might have two to order at this point. You're a
I
week
have.
behind.
Let me just
Come make
get his attention. Barkeep,